right now. So we want something to happen when the player finally reaches the melon block and it breaks the melon block. So we're going to use an event. We're going to use this do function. A function goes there when blank happens, and the blank is going to be an event, and it's in this events tab right here, and it is a block break event. So when the player breaks a block, some function is going to get called, and we're going to call this function on block break. Let's just move this stuff out of the way. So we can see that function on block break gets called when block break happens. And we don't have a block break function yet, so let's create it right now. Drag a function out and call it on block break. And what's special about functions that get called this way with an event is that sometimes the event has information that you need from it, such as, well, what kind of block got broken, or who broke the block. So we need to add a parameter to this function, and I like to call it info, so does Steven. And this info parameter is going to hold information about the event, like what type of block got broken and who broke the block. So we have our onBlockBreak function, and it takes an information parameter, and we want to check if the block that was broken was this melon block that we've placed down, and because we don't care if the player breaks some stone or breaks some grass or something like that. We only care when the player breaks a melon block, so we can move them to the next level. So the way that we do that is we're going to have some variables, and our first variable is going to be called event block, and this is going to be the block that's associated with this event. So if a player breaks a door, we want event block to be that block that got broken. So the door is going to be passed into this event under information. So we're going to access it by using this apostrophe S block. So we're going to say info's block. And this is going to give us the block that was broken for this event. And now we actually want the type of the block that was broken. So let's make a new variable, event block type, and we're going to set that to event blocks type. And so while this was the actual block, this is just going to be the material. It's just going to be melon block, or stone, or grass, or diamond block. It doesn't have any more information associated with the blocks, like position or orientation or something like that. So, because we only care about the material or type of the block. So we're going to use some logic constructs, this if statement, and we want to check if something is equal to something else. And what we want to do is we want to check if event block type is equal to melon block. So let's grab event block type. So if event block type is equal to melon block, that means the player has broken the melon block successfully, and we need to add 1 to the level and set them up in the next arena with the harder monsters. So the way we do that is we're going to use this math block. It's called change. So change level by 1. That's going to just increase level by 1. So if it was 1, now level is going to be 2. If level was 4, now level after this block is executed, it's going to be 5. So now that we've increased our level, we want to do some things for the player. We want to move them out of the old arena, because maybe the old arena got destroyed by a creeper, or maybe the player broke some blocks, or it's on fire or something. So the old arena is no good anymore. So we're going to have to create a new arena. And so we're going to move the player. We're going to move the player to a new location. And the way we do that is we're going to use this handy command that comes with World Edit. It's going to be perform command, and then we're going to give it a text. It's going to be up 5, and that's a World Edit command that's going to move the player up 5 blocks, and it places a block of glass under the player so they don't fall. And that's exactly what we want. So here's another example of using other people's code in your minigame. Just like we used the arena function from another plugin that I wrote. And you can use this in your mods as well. You just type in Tennyson Holloway-mini worlds, and you can access this same arena function and use it the same exact way. So we move the player up 5. Let's run another command to butcher 500. Let's just clear out all the monsters in the old level and clear out all the monsters around the player just to give them a clean playing field. And what we want to do is, after this, we want to create the arena for the player. So all we have to do is just call the create arena function, which, remember, makes our structure with the player on one side, the melon block on the other, and it calls spawn monsters. And now that we've increased the level by 1, this spawn monsters function is going to behave differently. It's going to spawn more monsters, and it's going to spawn different types of monsters. It's going to spawn harder monsters in this list, which is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to add difficulty to the minigame. And now the final thing is we just want to send the player a message, let them know that they've made it to the next level and what level they're on. So we're going to use this create text with block, and we're going to pop some text in there that just says beware you have entered level space at the end, and then we're going to put in level into the second one. And what this block does is it takes these inputs and makes them into one big string. So what that means is that it just puts this block right in front of the level. So what's hopefully going to happen is it's going to send to the player, which is going to be me. Let's put that in there. It's going to send beware you have entered level, and then the player's level, current level, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now let's check out what this is going to do in game. Okay, so here we are in game, and hopefully if everything is working right, we're going to have a finished minigame. So let's run the mod. It's going to start us on one side of the arena, spawn the monsters, protecting the melon block, and since I'm in creative mode, I can just casually walk by the monsters and hit the melon block. And hopefully when I break this, yep, it's going to teleport me to a new arena. And as you can see, there are zombies and spiders, and they total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They total 10 monsters, which corresponds to the second level, which is 2 times 5. And if we hit the melon block again, it gives us the message that we've entered level 3. And as you can see, there are now creepers in the mix, and there's now a total of 15 monsters. We hit the block again. We're now on the 4th level, and there's now cave spiders, which poison you. And if we hit the block again, 5th level, magma cubes. Oop, looks like one spawned on the edge there. Did it again, 6th level. That should be the witch. Yep. And now the final level, 7, where there are blaze. And now, if you've been paying attention, we didn't add anything that would stop me from just hitting this again and going to level 8. But there's a problem with that. And the problem is that when the spawn monsters function happens and our level is at 8, it's going to work as normal up to a certain point. It's going to set the number of monsters to level times 5, which is going to be 40. And it's going to get a random integer from 1 to 8. And it's going to try to access in the list of monsters a number from 1 to 8. And that's where the problem is. If that number is 8, you can see that this list only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements in it. It doesn't have 8 elements. So if you try to get the 8th element of this list, it's going to give you an error. It's going to say that's not allowed, and the program is not going to work, and your users are not going to be happy to play your minigame. It's because it broke after that level. So maybe you need to add something here right after this that checks if the level is 8, and maybe stop the minigame, tell the player that they've won, and send them a nice message and give them a reward. And that's another option. Or you can just add another monster to this list. Maybe the Ender Dragon can be the 8th and final boss, or another monster, maybe pigs or something random like that, or you can just have it keep going forever. And so yeah, that's the mod that this video series was about. And if you want to challenge yourself, I would recommend adding features onto this to make it more entertaining, to make it more interesting. Some features that I personally want to add is some sort of leveling system that gives you gear. So maybe you start out with only an iron sword or a bronze sword, and as you go to these higher levels, as you complete the levels, you're given random gear. So maybe in a similar fashion to how we spawned harder and harder monsters using this random block and the repeat block, maybe you can give the player better and better weapons and armor as they go on to the higher levels so that they're able to deal with the monsters. And so that's something cool that I wish that someone would create with this. There's other things that can be made. You can change the shape of the arena, maybe make it a little harder to get to that melon block, add some obstacles. You can change, obviously, the amount of monsters, maybe lower this to make it a bit easier, or raise it to make it very hard. And basically the possibilities are endless with this minigame that we've created here. You can take it any way that you want. And so, thanks for watching, and I hope to see some cool stuff.